What's up, folks? Welcome back to the show. Up next, we've got former Birmingham, Alabama firefighter, hockey player, restaurant bar owner, basically just an all-around badass, Mr. George Cowgill, and he's a writer, which is how I found him. He had written an article, published it, it circulated around through social media a little bit, clicked on it, read it, immediately sent it to Steve and said, dude, we have got to try to get this guy on the show. So all things worked out. He came on the show, was able to spend some time with us. We really appreciate Mr. Cowgill being willing enough to come spend some time on the show with us. It was great. You can find all the articles that he's written. Just simply Google his name, George Cowgill. I put firefighter on the end of it. It kind of limits the search. All his articles will pop up, super simple. Go through there, read them. I promise you'll like it. His ability to tell stories through his eyes and just basically his style of writing is very compelling and very relatable for most people in our profession. Again, thank you, Mr. Cowgill, for coming on the show. If you haven't switched over your Amazon to Amazon Smile, please do so. North Carolina Professional Firefighters Charitable Fund is the charity that you should choose to donate to. We thank everybody for their support. We love all of you, and God bless.
What year was that you drove to Wilmington with a script?
2000, I'm guessing, 2003. I did a documentary in 2001, and it didn't make any money, of course, but it got around the country. I screened around the country, and I came up with another idea, and I was trying to find backing for it. And this lady was a big fan, and she had put me in touch with the production company up there. And nothing ever came up, but it was a good trip. And Wilmington, man, it was awesome. Yeah,
Wilmington's a good spot to come. What he's saying confirms what I was talking to you about just a second ago. We cruised through your that post you put on Facebook that everybody shared, the article, and in the middle of it was just one line, and it said, "I love fire." And I was like, if that's true, then I'm pretty certain we got a lot of shit in common, and this will be a pretty fun conversation.
It is. You know, like I do. I mean, you know, like nothing. I tell people this, and it's the truth, but, you know, I got promoted to lieutenant and all that. But before that, nothing beat being that guy on the nozzle going into a house that was fully involved. That's the best feeling in the world. I loved it. The rush is unparalleled with anything else.
Yeah, and especially for me, if there's any work that needs to be done to get in the door, like it's almost too easy if you just open the door. You know,
I know. I love breaking into things. I love it. I mean, no, he's exactly right. Like, I mean, it was harrowing, and there were casualties. But one of my best fires, I had to put the burglar bars down before we got in, and the fire was just coming. It came down like a shelf, just closer and closer and closer. And I was not on a mask at the time, and finally got to the point where I had to step back, put my mask on, and then take another swing, and I finally popped it. And yeah. That's a lost art. They I don't know. They should concentrate more on that in rookie schools. I think is how to get in the damn door. So
yeah, and every door is not the same as those. Like the props are nice, but there's so many different variances, and most of them just a good swift kick gets you in.
I'm scared. I've always been scared of kicking things because like. You'll kick something and it'll go just open right up, or you'll sit there and kick and you throw your leg out. So I never know what. That acts to the lock and just pry it back.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been on?
I got in 2010, so I'm 12 years. Yep.
And I started in 2007, so a few years before Steve. A few years before Steve, but I'm still a youngin'.
Yeah.
I started screwing around with it in 2005, and then I got on with Birmingham in 2006. So,
what made you want to pursue the career side of things? I'm assuming you started probably in a volunteer service or around, or what made you decide that you wanted it to be a career?
I'm second generation. My old man. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
he still alive and kicking. Still, he tried to get back on the department not too long ago, and even after retiring, he was with Birmingham for 23 years, and I knew all my screwing around in my teenage years and my 20s. I knew eventually I would try and get on the fire department. I knew it was coming. So like, it just, he was supportive of me doing it if I wanted to do it, but he was like, if you can do it. At the time, I had nothing going on, no restaurants or anything. And he was like, if you can get on with the fire department, you can have, you'll have that time to build other things too. Because he knew I had other, dreams, ideas, bad ideas.
Yeah.
So,
I love the bad ideas.
Yeah, I know. But that was
So
it.
what?
Yeah, he came on the 70s. Dig this. He came on in 76. And I don't know why, but they didn't go to rookie school at first. They did straight to the field for a year and then rookie school. Isn't that odd?
Yeah, I wonder if that was just a
fire. The first week he was on, he had, fully involved.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Scared as hell. 20, as a kid. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I wonder if that's is that a old school Birmingham thing, or I haven't heard of that anywhere else. Of course,
They have, I know they quit doing that in the 80s, but this is 76. I never really saw the point in it, why they wouldn't send them straight to school. Even back then, I know things were different. You could smoke and drink on the engines, but
it makes you wonder if the thought was get a little exposure to what you're even going to learn about. Like that part, maybe I could make sense of, but it still seems pretty bizarre.
Yeah. Or maybe just like see before we invest any training time in these people, if they're going to stick around, but
That part I could get behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's what maybe the military approach, where they stick you in boot camp and they try to expose you to hardship, the approach of breaking you down, then building you up. Maybe that was kind of their outlook. Hey, we'll stick you with a salty ass engine company, and you can decide if you want to continue this career after a little bit of time.
Yes. He was on the last engine where they rode on the back. So
That's awesome.
they got rid of that too. Yeah. Different times.
Different times for sure.
For sure.
Either one of y'all got family in the fire service, or?
I'm a first generation. Both of my parents, my dad was a pharmacist, and then my mom was a nurse for 1.5 billion years. I have 3 older sisters. 2 of them fell suit into the healthcare industry. The other one's a teacher. And then, I don't know, I just kind of grew up around it. But no, nobody in my family has. My granddaddy was on the fire brigade on a Navy boat back when he was in the military. But that's it. No, I don't have any lineage. I started. So.
Yeah, my dad and his brothers, most of his brothers were military, but no fire. Yeah, I got lucky.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Before the fire department, what did you do other than writing scripts and doing documentaries?
Waited tables, bartended, and
bad decisions.
I could never get away from that bartending, and now here we are, sitting at the top, owning a couple of them. So, I mean, it's
That's
good.
awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I reached a point where I really didn't like my boss when I was bartending at this place, making good money, and I decided I was going to open my own spot, and that happened about the same time I went to rookie school. So it was a lot of fun. It was an interesting time, working all night and then getting up and going to rookie school.
Oh my gosh.
I know it was tough.
Yeah.
That seems that seems kind of, this is just the outside looking in. It seems a little counterproductive that you had a problem with your boss and then you go to the fire service where you have 1 billion bosses. And it seems, just reading your articles and whatnot, that this having a problem with your boss kind of continued through the fire service. You're my kind of dude.
I mean, I'm a nice guy. Like, I really am. Like, I get along with everybody, but you still get those guys and they get in charge and it's just like, they want to make a point of it. So for the most part, I had a really good run with Birmingham. I loved it. And I loved the people that were above me, equal with me, under me, all that stuff. But still, you get those bosses, they get their agendas and they want to write people up. And I don't know. I would
Yeah,
put over
there's
what I thought was right more than an order.
yeah.
And, so
In that article, you said you worked alongside some guys that were, in your words, like gods. We read that part and we share that. Like, there's some dudes you work with, and you're just like, this guy's squared away.
I know.
Yeah, it's probably the best part of the fire service.
I think that, and that's people keep asking me what I missed since I retired, and I'm like, that's what I've missed is just seeing my friends, living with my friends every third day. And I mean, there's something to be said for having people around you that that they'll do whatever they have to if you get in a situation, and they've proven it over and over again. I try. I'm sure you guys try to be that guy too. It's not just fire. I mean, it's a terrible world, and they call the fire department for it.
Right.
I'm sure North Carolina, we go on everything here. Everything. If there's a drop of blood on a scene, we go. So we go to all the violent shootings, the domestic situation, everything. And we've been attacked multiple times, and it's just nice to know that you've got guys with you that have your back. And that's one of the leaders' things is we would have leaders that weren't there, and they would come there to these scenes like after, and they would want to know what we did wrong. Like, no, we just, we got out of there alive.
Yeah.
But really good guys. It's an industry or a profession that can really let someone shine if they want to help someone. And I feel fortunate that I met some of these guys. Like, I mean, I'll take their memories of them in my grave. Some that have passed, and just their friendships. And of all the things in the fire service, that's what I'll miss the most. So hands down, that's the best part.
Yeah,
It's
no
certainly
doubt.
not play. I mean,
No. Yeah, that is a big truth right there.
Yeah, those friendships that are made, I completely agree with you. That's the part that keeps us all coming back. When we take, I cut a tendon in my ring finger, so I was out of work for about a 2-month period, and it took about 2.5 weeks. And my wife was like, "You need to go by the fire department. I know you can't go to work, but you need to go by. You need to go see your boys. You need to go." Whatever, you need to go out to the bar. Y'all need to get together. You need to do something. So it's a noticeable change almost. When I describe it as it's our third family. We have our immediate families, then we have our in-law side families, but then we have our fire service family. And I see the guys that I work with, guys and girls that I work with, more than I see some of my immediate family members. When it comes to the course of 365 days a year, I see them more. So. That ability to withhold and have a relationship with that type of person that you can trust with the situations like you were describing, it's paramount in this industry. And I think guys like you that retire, and then other folks that we've spoke with that retire, that's the part that I fear about retiring is missing that. To hear you say it, I miss the guys. Sure, I'll miss the work. I'll miss the fires. I'll miss the cut jobs. I'll miss that stuff because it's fun, but it's the people, that it's the people that we work with that I'm truly going to miss. And I think a lot of folks have a really hard time with that after retirement. It's like military guys getting out of the military, they have a really hard time kind of reacclimating themselves outside of that work. And I was out for a short 2 months, and I was antsy, borderline depressed that I couldn't go to work. I was upset, and my wife, she notices it. It's obvious. So it's interesting to hear you say that, but not interesting at the same time. Not surprising, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I still have these restaurants, so I have still like a social work situation to go to where I've got a ton. I mean, it's stressful. A ton of employees, and I can go up to restaurant. I mean, it's a bars, so I've got people I can be around. But I couldn't imagine retiring and not having that, and just so all of a sudden you go from seeing all the characters, I mean, good and bad fire station every third day to just retiring. And, it's just like, okay, your immediate family and, okay, I'm gonna walk around the block. I mean, I don't know what you do. So I can see how it could really get to a lot of guys, so
yeah.
retirement? 20 or 25?
30.
30, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the right reaction. Yeah.
I mean, you two are young. I mean, y'all are way younger than me, so I like. y'all got
Shoo.
this.
Yeah.
I'll take that compliment.
He must have a bad feed on his camera. Bro, the article, we were talking about it, I think right after we shared it back and forth, and you said so many things in there that were the quiet parts. So it's like any fireman that read it knew it and felt it as they were reading it. And it's all the quiet parts, like the stuff that nobody really dared to go and just say it out loud. But on behalf of pretty much everybody I talked to about it, thank you for putting it together. I know it was hard. It had to be hard, but dude, it was good.
I've been writing, or publishing my stuff, just essays and just whatever for the last, 10 or 15 years. But that was the first time that I've written about the fire department where I was not under the thumb where I didn't have to think about, well, they might get mad I say this. And are we cussing on this show?
Oh yeah.
Do whatever you want on the show, brother.
I just like it was the first time I got to write about being a firefighter, and I was like, if they're mad about this, fuck them.
Yeah.
I know I didn't have to. Everything I wrote, like I was going to write whatever I wanted, and I mean it wasn't like a vendetta piece, or I'm not trying to blame the administration or anything like that. But I'm going to say exactly what I wanted to, and I don't have to think about, is someone going to get mad about this? Is someone going to get upset? And I wrote it, and I always sit on things. I wrote it, sat on it for a few days, let my wife read it, and she is as biased as they come. So of course she loved it. She's like,
right.
I mean, I can't say I don't take her opinion for granted. I mean, she's my wife. She's not going to tell me she hates it. So
right.
she reads it, and I published it and just walked away from the computers, went to the gym, and 15 minutes later, someone calls me and asks if they can share it on, Alabama.com, a news feed. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So I was very humbled and appreciative that people related to what I wrote.
Yeah. When I was reading it, it was like you were sitting in the room explaining it. I'm not sure how I already knew what your voice sounded like, but it was like I was sitting there listening to you tell it. It was well done. It didn't have a format that you would see in a textbook. You know what I mean? It was just you talking, and it matched the fire service like perfect.
Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate that anyone has been able to resonate with those words. So.
Yeah, the first time I saw it was through social media. A good friend of ours, he doesn't work here, he works in Ohio, but he shared it, and he's a very influential person in the fire industry nationwide. And he shared it, and his title in the share post was, "This is a must read." And then after that, I think it was like something like "very well written" or something like that. So obviously I clicked on it. And I read it, and I immediately after I got done, I shared it with Steve and was like, holy shit. And I was like, man, I said, I'm going to reach out to this dude tomorrow and see if he wants to come on the show. I was like, if he can write like this, then his ability to articulate it with his own words and voice it's got to be amazing. And it will do our industry good. For folks to be able to put a name and a face and hear your voice and that sort of thing to put, with a backstory with this article. So that was kind of the purpose in getting you to come on the show. One, because the article was amazing. And the more I read into you, I was like, this dude sounds amazing. Plays hockey. I had a guy on my shift that he's been eat up with hockey for, I don't know, his entire adult life. And so I had to live hearing about hockey for about 4 years straight every other day. And I was like, dude, it's Wilmington. This is the beach. Nobody gives a shit about hockey here. And he was like, so he was eat up with it. And, just kind of that bad boy mentality. Me and Steve relate with that a lot. I wouldn't consider myself a bad boy by any means, but that message resonates with me big time. I'm not a go with the flow just to be going with the flow type person. I always look for the deeper reasons in things. So it was nice. Your article was just like Steve said, it was very well written. It was interesting to hear. And it outlined a lot of things that we all think, but most of us just never had the ability to put it into words.
Well, thank you. Hope I'm not disappointing you guys now that y'all put a face to it. You're like, oh, now we got a face to this guy. Like he's
Who the fuck is this guy? Nah, man.
because he can't
Yeah.
see.
It's actually good to put the voice with it. Like it makes it make more sense.
Okay.
For sure.
Now tell me about Wilmington for a minute. I know just fires up there. Like, I mean, is it busy? I'm sure you guys have
I don't know that I call us. We wouldn't. I don't think we qualify as busy, but steady. Like there's work around often enough. Like I don't get to go to a lot of it at my house, but Hoffman goes to more. So I try to stay in tune, listen to the radio. But man, I haven't had a first due fire in a year and a half, 2 years maybe. I got moved out to a slow station. I was at a good spot where I was getting them regular, but yeah, we're steady.
How many
Would you
stations?
agree with that? We have 8 in our county department, and then the city,
I don't know, probably
8.
8 as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're a very densely populated small county, and the city takes up like half of it. It's actually pretty nice as far as the departments get along. I'm sure you've heard the stories of like county and city and volunteer and career, like all the cliche arguments. And we used to be that like 10 years ago. It was a real shit show. But now pretty much everybody with the exception of maybe 10 sticks in the mud, get along really well and fight fire together.
Nice. Y'all, I just assumed, I didn't even ask, y'all work 24s?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I always assume people do, but then, you get up north and you hear them like, no, we work 10 hours and then I go home for 4 and work 16, and I mean, they have these
Yeah.
new schedules up north that I don't understand. So, and I don't even want to try to understand, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're 24s. Just like Steve said, I'd say I might consider us a little more busy than what he describes as far as actual call volume. Nowadays it's not necessarily the fire jobs that we're getting a lot of, but it's, Wilmington, our little city here, per capita was the number 1 in the country for opioid overdoses 2 years ago.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, so we went through a spurt, man, where it was gnarly for a minute with that sort of thing. I'm on a ladder company, and we don't run first due medical calls. If the engine's gone out of our house, which runs first due medical calls, then obviously we pick them up. And my company was running 2 or 3 overdoses every shift. So that means the engine was running 4 times that many and stuff like that. So it, like I said, it got gnarly for a little bit. So we're steady, but the fire has definitely gone down. Our older kind of buildings and whatnot have kind of been redone and that sort of thing. So we're new. We're growing so fast here. It's all new residential stuff, and residential sprinklers are a big thing and that sort of thing. So the fireworks not near as busy as we would like, but we're finding ways to make ourselves busier other ways.
Right.
The overdoses, I started seeing so many. I just got Narcan and kept it in my truck. It's crazy. I mean, that's a plague. I don't know what they need to do, but I mean, it's awful. I mean, I've seen, y'all have too, I'm sure, but so many, fatal overdoses. Just, it eats you up. So.
Yeah, there's way too many, and it makes you wonder, like, how do the people that are overdosing next week not see what's going on this week? How is it that much of a mystery to them? I don't know.
Yeah, I've never had that addiction with anything, so I'm fortunate in that regard. So I just it's something I don't comprehend as well. But just we see it as these first responders. We'll be in the cars and alleys and people driving, and just as soon as they get it, shoot up, driving, overdose, wreck. It's just, and that's not our mentality, but to be there and see that, it's heartbreaking. So to run that many all the time, it eats you up,
Yeah. Did you find that obviously you did, just by the way you articulated in your article, but was that one of the, I guess, just for lack of better, my dumb brain not working, is that one of the straws that broke the camel's back for you that made you want to, did you find yourself, did you have enough self-recognition to know that you were kind of getting compassion fatigue and just fed up with all this shit and it was so much of an overload to you?
My entire career, I was at Station 19 in Birmingham, and they've been ranked in the top 50 busiest for years on end. And it was in the neighborhood I grew up in. It's called East Lake, and I worked there most of my career. And we were the busiest in the state of Alabama every year. So I get promoted. They move me to the other side of town to 21, and it's on the west end. And that year, we become the busiest station. So I brought it with me.
Right.
So I'm not joking. I mean, everyone realized that. They were like, what happened? And like, well, Cowgill got moved to 21. He took it with him. So
right.
I just feel like this harbinger of sorrow. Like, we're running anywhere from 15 to 20 calls a shift and, seeing really bad stuff. And I was fine with it. But it just chips away. Like, y'all seen Shawshank Redemption?
Oh, yes.
Like, the prison wall just chipping away. Just like, it doesn't just bust down, it just chips. And so I would work the 24, and then the next day I was worthless. Absolutely. I mean, I would come home tired, sleep some, try and work out, and I was done for the day. And then the next day I had to get ready to go back. And it just, after finally, I was like, I've done my time, It's not about money. I'm very blessed. I mean, I've got these restaurants, that they're mine. I started them. I mean, I get a good paycheck from them. I don't need the money from firefighting. It just became like, it was just time to go. I mean, God almighty, I'm getting bummed thinking about it. Like, I really love firefighting. I do. And you fuckers, now you're gonna get me sad.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah.
No, it's good. It was time for me to go. I need the support of people above me, and the administration. I didn't feel it anymore. Like that coupled with being at the busiest station and getting slaughtered, it didn't work for me.
Yeah,
And,
bad combo.
Yeah, I took some time off when I realized that, oh my God, I'm thinking about quitting. I didn't want to just say, I quit, see you, walk out.
Right.
Like, I got on FMLA, took a couple of months, mental health check. And just because, just to make sure that that's what I wanted. Like, if I'm going to leave, no regrets. But then that said, I didn't want to stay and regret staying. And I made the right decision, man. I did. And, I look back fondly on those years as a firefighter. But it was just time for me to go. God, have I strayed way off from what you asked me?
No, sir.
No, we're right in there.
Nah, dude. Do you have any advice for anybody who might be going through the same thing? There's endless numbers of folks that are in our industry that are in the same shoes that you were at that time in your life, that I would say probably not as blessed as you, in order to they have to do it for the money. Their family depends on their career. They're the breadwinners of their home. Do you have any type of advice? Do you think that step away was a good idea for you? Kind of that self-check?
I think so. I think a mental health check is good. I mean, that sounds so dumb. I mean, a bunch of guys sitting around talking about that, but like, not to overlook, your own stress level. Don't overlook it. Don't like, just because they're telling you, you got to work 24 hours, and then they're short staffed, so it's a mandatory holdover. So you'd work 24 hours, get killed, get destroyed, 15, 20 calls, and then they tell you can't go home the next day because they're short staffed. So they would do stuff like that, and in the same breath be like, oh, but are you all right? Like, well, do you care, or are you just asking?
Right.
Checking a box,
Like, I just got to the point where I felt like I needed to look out for myself a little bit more than I had, and I'd put too much stock in people above me looking out, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not like on a fire scene or in a house. I'm just talking about across the board. So just like keep up with your own well-being. That's my only advice. You know, I mean, it's a job. If you need to step away for a little while, step away for a little while. You know, if you're at a busy station and you're getting crushed all the time, you know, put in transfer requests. I mean, you have to look out for you. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm not trying to sound selfish or anything like that. Like, you know, I'm number one. I mean, there's a lot of guys going through it, but when you get in these situations where just you're getting rocked for years on end, you know, you just have to look out for you a little bit.
It's like your body's telling you you need a break or need a change or an assessment or something.
I think so. It's your mind telling you this. I mean, that's what I felt like. I mean, my body was I just felt like I was going crazy, you know, like not getting enough sleep. I mean, my God, if you go, I mean, you guys know this, like if you go and like get 3 hours sleep or something, you walk around like a zombie. Then when you get a full night's sleep, you wake up like, did I take drugs? I mean, like,
Right.
like I want to go to the gym. Like, I want to go play hockey. I want to run around the neighborhood. Like, sleep is a powerful thing. And that is something that, you know, in our profession, we kind of get shorted on. So,
Yeah. Man, when I was reading the article, I giggled when you said, I got promoted, I got demoted. Is that a story that's tellable on open air, or is that something
it's
maybe after the show?
It's kind of boring. Like, I'll tell you guys sometime, but it's not a good story.
I got you.
I was a lieutenant for a while, or I was a lieutenant for 2 years, and then they started looking at a paperwork check a long time ago, and they were saying that I was missing a class, and I proved I had the class, so they demoted me, and then they offered it back, and that was around the time that, you know, I was just like, I was already on the way out. So they rescinded the demotion, but, you know.
Yep, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can relate to that story. I was almost 2 years into my career here in New Hanover, and my captain came to me and he said, "Hey," and I said, "Hey." He said, "I just pulled your transcript, and you're missing 3 firefighter 1 and 2 classes as well as hazmat." And I was like, "Well, that's impossible because I went to a fire academy and came out with all those classes as well as hazmat done." He was like, "Well, they're not showing up on your transcript." And I was like, "Okay, so what do I need to do to find out why?"
Yeah.
He was like, "I don't know. Let's start with where you went to your academy, which was Technical Community College." And so I called them, and they didn't have any record of it either. But I went back in my little I Love Me book, you know, where we keep all our certificates and all that kind of stuff back when that stuff mattered. I don't even know where that book is now. But so I went back through it, and I had the certificates for the completion of the classes, but they didn't have any record of it. So it was a trifling time because, you know, he had to do his due diligence and he had to tell his supervisor that, you know, he didn't know what was going on here, and this was a requirement for me to have. Sure. You know, he didn't want to get in a liability situation or anything like that. So anyway, it took a couple back and forths, but it deemed where those certificates were no good because it wasn't on my transcript. So I had to take 2 classes and hazmat all over again. It was awful.
That's shitty.
Do all that, but my situation was grossly similar to that. Grossly similar.
Yeah.
So in 2007, I mentioned in there, I'm not a medic. Are you guys medics?
EMTs.
Yeah, we're basics.
Not paramedics, but basics. Yeah, basics.
You aren't medics?
No, we're just basic EMTs.
Man, they ride medics hard here. They work them they put them on the box, and they can have it. I mean, I love them to death, but that's not me. EMT.
Agreed.
So I may or may not used to start IVs. This is back in like 2007, and we got popped one time, and I got in trouble for it. No big deal. 8 hours off. But about 3 or 4 years later, about 10 years later, 3 or 4 years ago, I had to renew my EMT license. Sent it in. They said, "Have you ever lost your license?" I said, "No." And they called me and said that they were suspending my EMT license indefinitely because I'd lied on my application for renewal saying that it had never been suspended. And I said, it's never been suspended. They said, no, it got suspended in 2007. I said, nope, no, it didn't. And she's like, yes, it did. We went back and forth. And she calls me a few days later and she's like, okay, this is weird. It was supposed to get suspended, but the guy that was sending you the mail retired. And we just found the letter I'm holding in my hand from 10 years ago in his desk drawer. And I go, well, what do you want to do? And she goes, what'd you do? I said, start IV. She's like, well, just don't do it again. That was it.
Okay.
Like, okay. A decade later, sure, no problem.
Bro, that's nutty.
Weird
That's
stuff.
so crazy. Yeah.
You would figure this day and age that we have kind of come past that point of, hey, a letter got lost in a desk drawer.
Yeah.
And one of the shittiest classes that you have to go through in order to be a firefighter, most places, is the one that you lost.
Yeah.
Oh, mercy.
The fact that she could find it a decade later, she found it in his desk drawer. Like his desk is just sitting over there getting dust. I mean, what? Okay.
That's so weird. Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, let me ask you something before I forget. You said that who was the guy's name that shared my article that you read, the Ohio guy?
Todd Edwards. Todd Edwards.
Okay.
Yeah, you can look him up. He's a very well known instructor that travels all over the nation, really, and teaches a lot of stuff. He's great. Like I said, I saw him post it first, so that was super cool.
Okay, that's really cool. I was curious if it was anyone I'd talked to, or it's not. So I just want to look him up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure you'll like it for sure.
Okay.
So post article and post retirement and all that good stuff. What are you up to nowadays, brother?
Everything, loving it. Running these restaurants, hanging out with my awesome wife, playing hockey. Man, it's great. I mean, I'm playing like 3 nights a week right now. It's a lot of fun. And a lot of time for writing, which is something that I've really been missing. Just the time to sit down and no bells going off, no phone calls, I can just write.
Right.
Because writing at the station, I would try, and it's Murphy's Law. Once I got in the pattern of writing something I was into, we get called out. So there's no way around that.
I've written just enough to know that once you get going on something, if you stop, it's so hard to pick up in that same state of mind that you were in. It's almost like what you're reading doesn't make sense because you couldn't complete that thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's pretty much what I've been doing. Staying busy. My wife just started working. She's a PA, like a physician's assistant. And she recently graduated that program a couple of months ago and just started working the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, that's great. Congrats to her.
She's smart. I mean, like I was looking at her, the stuff they study. Woo.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a foreign language to firefighters. I mean, that's,
Yeah, we had our producer who used to be basically the whole man behind the desk, the Wilson on the other side of the fence from Home Improvement. He was our tech guy. He left the fire service and went into PA school, and that's where he's at now. Is he's studying at PA school. So we lost a hell of a fireman and an exceptional medic here in our county, but more importantly, we lost our producer.
Yeah.
Never mind all that. We lost our producer. So.
Yeah. No. How long have you been in the restaurant game?
I'm 49 years old. I started waiting tables when I was 20, and they had me bartending. The day I turned 21, they were waiting on it. So.
What about you owning them? When did you open your first one?
2006.
2006.
Yeah, we opened. It was a bar called the Speakeasy, and y'all aren't familiar with downtown Birmingham, but back then, downtown Birmingham now is a huge social, and it's great. Back then, it was just us, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and that sort of morphed into let's open up a black market bar and grill and put a restaurant in on the different side of town, and then when that finally hooked on and took off, I turned that first bar, the Speakeasy, into a second black market and moved it up the street. So
Nice.
Full menu.
How about your writings? Are you publishing somewhere that we have access to?
I'm trying. I've got a couple of books on Amazon, the older like nonfiction collections. They're on Amazon on a small independent press called Banner. But I've got a novel I finished up in the last few months, and I'm shopping it right now. I'm really, shooting for the fences on this one. Trying
Nice.
to get to, dare to dream, right?
That's right.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely.
When
Give
it
us-
hits, you'll have to make sure you let us know.
Oh,
Yeah,
without
I
a-
want one. Yeah.
Hey, Matt, is your last name Hoffman?
Yes, sir.
Like the BMX biker?
Like the BMX, yeah. It's the sounds the same, spelled drastically different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Matt in his name is M-A-T, mine is M-A-T-T.
Okay.
His is Hoffman, H-O-F-M-A-N, and mine is H-O-F-F-M-A-N. So, I used to mess with people all the time, and tell them it was my cousin. Just how that would make sense. It
Yeah.
doesn't, but
It doesn't,
they
but it's
believe
all
it.
right. Yeah.
That's I heard him say, call you Hoffman a second ago. I was like, wait a second, Matt Hoffman. I was like,
I know that guy.
BMX or bike guy, Matt Hoffman.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of your stuff come out from your writings, man. We like your style
Yeah.
of writing. I hope it's the same way in the books.
Yeah, that's all I know. It's an unconventional style is what someone told me it was, but I like it. I try and do what, and I get this, and you said it that like it was like I was sitting there talking to you and I wrote it, but I try
Yep.
and write, I try and put people, like they're there. A lot
Yeah.
of stories I describe, like some older essays people wrote to me, and they were like, the way you wrote it was like I was sitting there, in these situations that you were in. So I think that's the best way to write. Like I glorify everything I've seen like it's a movie, and then try and write it that way, because whatever people
Yeah.
relate to.
Yeah, from the user side of it, like when I was reading your article, I even read it in the right cadence or the right speed because it was written in such a conversation way. It was like I was having a conversation, but just one sided. It was neat. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like Hoffman said, I like that style.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Did you have any issues with the restaurant? I know we're bouncing around. That's just the way stuff
Okay.
goes around
Yeah.
here sometimes. But did you have any issues with the restaurant stuff during the whole lockdown and COVID and all that good stuff? And how'd that work out? Are y'all able to sell drinks to go?
They didn't do drinks to go. We did. One restaurant was in an area of town where a lot of to-go food. We kept it open, but the other one was in a position where the streets were it was a ghost town during COVID
Yeah.
for months on end. And that original shutdown, what year was that? 19? I can't remember.
Yeah.
20?
Yeah,
20?
19. It was either I think it was late 19, early 20. They kind of
think
all
early-
bleed together.
Yeah.
They Birmingham shut down the day before St. Patrick's Day officially. Like
That would have been 2020. Yep.
yeah, March 2020. That was it. It was the day before St. Patrick's, and I knew it was coming. I didn't know it was going to be coming like that, and it was really really tough because I'm still paying rent and a lease, and I've got 70 employees, 80 employees that are not getting paid. It was tough. It was a stressful time. But so many restaurants in Birmingham, I'm sure probably up in Wilmington too, closed for good. Major chain like Olive Garden and major chains went out of business and didn't come back. And I just thought that was odd. I was like, but finally when they lifted the curtain on it, I felt like our patrons kind of rewarded us for staying around, and it's been better than ever since. But it was a tough time, man. And then remember it came back. It was like, okay, but we're going to space the tables out 20 feet apart. And
Right.
everyone's got to wear a mask if you're standing, but you can sit down and take your mask off. And it was hard to keep up with what you were supposed to do. But we got through it.
Were they strict on y'all down there? Were they like enforcing this whole tables, the examples you gave, 20 feet apart and mask and all that? Were they strict on you? Was there any oversight, or was it just?
There was oversight. The ABC, Alabama Beverage. Yeah, there was some oversight. 20. I was being sarcastic. I can't remember what it was, but it was
Sure.
it was a third our tables, and no one at the bar, no one was allowed to stand at the bar or sit at the bar.
Right.
Just weird stuff. Basic stuff you expect to in a restaurant and bar scenario. But I mean, I'm hoping all that's over for good. Isn't that
Yeah,
weird?
no kidding.
I've never, I'm 49. You guys, I mean, we've never lived through anything like that. Like,
No,
my
not
God,
even close. Yeah.
curfews out here for a while. I mean, a curfew. I've never lived through a curfew before. It was crazy.
Yeah, here it was like 9 o'clock, I think, for a little while.
Yeah, we would do for a long time. We were doing shows, and it just worked out better for guests. You know, our bread and butter since the beginning of time is in studio podcast. We hadn't ventured down this digital world until so. You're the third show that we've
Yeah.
done that's digital, but. So we've always had guests in and out, and you know, evenings seem to work better for most people. So we would always do shows in the evening. We'd go eat dinner at the little bar across the street from us here, and then we'd come down here and do the show. And then during COVID, you know, we go up, leave the studio, and go upstairs back to the street level, and there was street lights were out. There was no cars. We're in downtown Wilmington. This is a college town. There's always people out. And there was nobody to be found. You could hear the river, which is 2 blocks away from us. You could hear the river going by. You could hear the current of the river, and that's unheard of.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
it was the eeriest thing. It was like something from a movie. It was so wild.
It was a weird time. I mean, ghost towns. So,
Yeah, proud of you for keeping the places running throughout that. That's amazing.
my best friend, he's Doug. He works for me. He's an idiot. He's from New York, but he during
Which
that
part? Because
curfew-
he's an idiot or because he's from New York?
So, yeah. During the curfew times, he was, rightfully hesitant to drive and meet me anywhere. And I was like, "We're in Birmingham. No one." And I was like, "Birmingham, no one cares. No one cares in Birmingham. I mean, the cops don't." And so I would go pick him up. I guess he's like, "Well, you got that firefighter tag on your truck, so we'll be all right." So I
Right.
had to go chauffeur him around. Yeah, but good times.
Is there a train coming through your house right now?
I swear to God, like it's like I'm up on a hill, so I pick up that sound. It comes right through. Last I did an interview over the phone not too long ago. It was the same thing, and someone's like, "Are you at a train station?" I was like, "I'm a conductor now." So
Yeah, side job.
Well played.
Yeah.
I see the humor hasn't left. That's for sure.
No.
one thing, and I can't think of any examples, but another thing about being a firefighter that I'll kind of miss is the obscenely dark humor that you share with those guys, and this it makes you sound like you're callous, but in bad situations, like to be able to laugh at something that's not funny, afterwards, just to keep from going crazy, like I always felt that was sort of an outlet that they gave us, to try and keep our sanity,
Yeah, it's a fact, and it's universal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's one of those things that's definitely shared, and it almost seems like the folks who get it, who are around that sort of thing, they understand it and can relate to it, and they kind of pick right up with it. But then you get somebody who that was their first ever bad call or something like that, or witnesses something like that. They're like, "What the fuck?" It's like, how can you say that or anything like that? And it's it's a shared thing amongst people who are in this service for sure. Is that I could never say some of that stuff that I say in a firehouse to my friends, to my wife, or in public or anywhere.
I swear to God, right? I mean, that I tell them that, like, the guys that would make those jokes, with myself included, I felt like the guys that really would turn that humor on were the best one, the ones I was talking about, like kings. Like, they were the ones that would get down, do anything to help someone, risk their own lives. I mean, a stranger. So, and then they would turn around and make these jokes, and people were like, well, how can you be so insensitive? Like, no, we're beyond sensitive. I mean, that's not even a question. It's just us trying to cope. I used to call it armor. It's our armor that we wear is to be able to laugh at things. So,
Yeah.
Very well said.
Yeah. It almost makes you a pro.
guys get it, So,
Oh yeah.
and this is the first time we met. I mean, so it's almost like a bonding thing. So,
Yeah. There's times that it really does take the pressure off. Like, a good dark joke, and you're like, all right, everything's fine.
Yeah. Like, I know we'll make it back to the station. We're fine, So.
Yeah. Oh, it's a trip. Bro, thanks for coming on and spending some time with us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Seriously.
Yeah. This is a good time.
It's nice to meet
We'll have
you
to-
guys, man.
Yeah, we'll have to get you up to Wilmington. Come visit the place and come check out the studio in person.
I would really like that. It's not that far. It's like 4 or 5 hours, I think.
Yeah.
It's not that far. We've got a good friend of ours. He's retired from DC, but he works for a company that makes fire hose. They're called Key Hose. But their plant is in Alabama somewhere where they make all the, I don't know the exact city. Dave, I'm sorry for that. I don't know the exact city, but it's somewhere in Alabama. So it's not far. He drives down there, all the time, several times a year. And he's the sales rep up here on the East Coast. So it's not far. We got to get you in here. How about when that novel drops?
Yeah.
We'll get you down here for that.
I really like the sound of that.
What's the storyline for that?
Yeah.
Share with us what you can without giving it away.
Oh, I'll give away whatever. It's a novel. It's called The End of Everything. It's novel, so it is fiction, but it's loosely based on the characters that I grew up around and with, and folklore that my dad told me in the small town he grew up in, right on the outskirts of Birmingham. So
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just growing up, we got to get out of this place kind of novel.
Nice.
Yeah. I enjoy that kind of style.
I like it. Like, I stepped away from it. I'm a terrible about reading my own stuff and just editing and re-editing. And I've done that for months. And I finally at the point where I can read it now and not change anything. So
Nice.
I
That's
like
great.
it. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to come to Wilmington. No joke. So
It sounds like your style is a lot like, I'm sure you're familiar with Jack Carr.
yeah.
Yeah. So how he takes his stuff that he writes novels, but he takes little aspects of his own life and implements them to where it's got subtle truths and makes it so relatable. They're some of the easiest books on planet Earth to read, and it's his style of writing is one where once you make it to chapter 1, you're in for the long haul. You don't have a choice. You're stuck. Yeah. So I can't wait. I'm ready to read it.
Well, thank you very much. Man, I appreciate you guys' support, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Thanks for having me on the show and reading my shit. I don't know. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, good deal.
For sure. Is there somewhere where we can have people go to read everything that you've published so far, all the articles? Do you have like a landing page, your own website where all your articles have been published in the past?
It's on medium.com.
Okay.
Just the word medium.com. Search my name, George Cowgill. It's called Born Against 1973, but it's probably easier just George Cowgill if you're looking for me.
Yeah, that's I've told everybody to do that. Just if they'll Google George Cowgill firefighter, then your articles, they always just populate right there. I'm like, that's the dude. Got to read them. It's good stuff.
There was a popular archaeologist with the same name. He recently passed away in the last couple of weeks, so I fight him for Google.
Yeah,
that's why I encourage him to put firefighter on the end of it. I don't think he has any relation to that. Yeah,
this guy's an archaeologist. This guy's. And my dad's, my dad. I'm named after my dad. I'm the third, but he has a very low key social media presence. So
heard that he's watching. He doesn't participate. He just watches.
He's just in the background, in the shadows.
Right.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Well, George, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll get you down here. And thank you for being honest, man, in your writing. You say a lot of things that a lot of us can relate to, and that means something. I don't know if that was the intent or not, but it's really meant a lot to a lot of people that I have spoke with personally, as well as myself.
Yeah, I think it's helped a lot of people. Yeah.
It means the world, you guys saying that. I'm not joking. So just that, that someone understands where I'm coming from, let alone get something out of it. And that's the greatest compliment. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll send you a message when this show publishes. If not this week, it'll be next week for sure. So by
I'll
by next Thursday, it'll be out. So I'll send you a notification when it publishes. so you can be a firsthand listener. See yourself.
Awesome. And I'll link it up for you and share it with my people. So
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
Listen, y'all be safe. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
We'll do it.
No joke. Okay.
All right, brother. Tell the wife congratulations from two strangers on that PA school.
Yeah.
She's in charge of dinner tonight, so yeah, I'll tell her.
Heard that. All right, brother. Be good.
Cool, man. Have a good night.
Later.
See you.
Hey, George. Oh, shit. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Do us a favor. Slide over to iTunes or Spotify or YouTube. Leave a 5-star review and leave a comment. If you want to support further, share it with somebody. Ask them to like, subscribe, and share it with their friends. If they can benefit from it, we need to spread it out. The more you like and comment, the more visible we are on all these platforms when people are just searching Firefighter Podcast. It'll come up Primary Complete a little bit quicker, and they won't have to dig quite so far to find us. We really appreciate that. Visit the website. It's a pretty good site. It's got all kinds of fun links and stuff. You can also find the shows there on the website as well, and that's www.primarycompletepodcast.com. Thank you all so much for your support. Again, we love you. Thank you for helping us make conversation great again.